Cheers.
What'd you say?
Are you ready, Corey?
Yeah, call this meeting to order, December 17th, commission meeting. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, we have a commissioner-elect here this afternoon. I'd like to recognize him as being here. He'll be the new guy come first of the year, Craig Doolittle, so welcome him. Anything to say, Craig? Looking forward to getting started.
Looking forward to being here, so
All right.
far anyway.
Got anything you need? Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, Craig will take care of it. Yeah.
Whatever you need, do it before.
Yeah, 31st stop here.
He'll be here every day till then.
Trying to clean out my office.
All right, Helen, do we have any minutes to bring forth? No minutes, okay. Any reports?
No reports.
No report to bring forth, okay. How about any correspondence?
Yes. We have a couple items, one from Dave Strohmeyer with the
Passenger rail?
passenger rail, and then one from Mary Hensley.
Okay. Dave Strohmeyer wanted to put Mary back on the board, and Mary said she would oblige, so we just need to have a agenda item on one of these agendas to do this, so we'll just hold off on that until we have it on the agenda.
Okay,
Any
31st.
31st is our next one with the, okay. Very good. Any other correspondence,
Ivan?
commissioners?
none, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll jump down to calendar review. What do we got coming up this week, Helen?
Thursday. There's DOI task force tonight.
Yes.
DOI task force tonight at 5. I show nothing tomorrow. Thursday, there's the county holiday potluck lunch at noon out at the fairgrounds. Also mental health local advisory.
That's
meeting.
right. Yeah.
Are you guys gonna just skip
11.
December?
It's at 11.
Oh,
We're gonna do it at 11 in the morning, yeah.
survey review?
No.
No,
Nope. Ginger's gone.
Ginger's
Oh, that's
gone.
right.
Steve's gone too.
yeah, true. Library board,
No,
Commissioner Haggerty's Friday,
that's a yes.
happy birthday.
Mhm.
Are you guys doing CSA call on Friday, Bob?
I think so. I've missed the last couple, so I'm not sure.
I show nothing on Monday.
All right, thank you, Helen. Commissioner Moore, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think Rocky Mountain's having its board meeting this Thursday. Instead of next week,
What time's out?
3:30.
2:30. Anything else, Commissioner?
That's the only thing I have.
All right, Commissioner Hager, you have anything to add?
Yes, sir. On the 19th, which is Thursday at 1100 hours is the LEPC meeting out at Volunteer Hall.
LEPC, you better get out of there fast at noon.
Doug's looking forward to it.
Yeah,
That's where they're
make it a
having
short
lunch
meeting,
at.
huh?
And we're gonna lock the door.
Yeah, there you go. After the food gets there,
Yeah, and then we can,
have it all yourselves.
oh, no. Make sure everybody gets some.
All right, anything else, Commissioner?
No, sir.
No, all right, the only thing I have to add is the Southwest Montana Youth Partners Board meeting on Wednesday, 6 o'clock.
You said we've blown through our money? Did you say that? We've gone through our budget?
For what, Southwest Montana? This is the daycare one here, but
Okay.
juvenile youth, yes, we have, and then some, and we've overspent our juvenile. It only takes 1 or 2 to, even in there for a month or 2 to blow that out. It's expensive, juvenile detention for sure. Okay, this is opportunity for public comment. Connor, you got anything for us? You're about the only public here today.
Glad to see it.
All right, well, thanks for being here, sir.
I think this is the first Tuesday I've been able to make one, and it's
Yeah.
one of your last and your birthday, so not
Oh.
that one.
Yeah, you got a good one. Okay. I skipped right over commission reports, didn't I? You
I
guys
don't,
were
I don't have anything. this
thinking
week, Mr.
that
Chairman.
would have been good. Do you have anything, Commissioner? No?
I do not.
Commissioner
I do not, Mr.
Hager,
Chair.
nothing? I don't
Uh,
think I
my,
have much
my
either.
CSAA group met last Friday, but I had a doctor appointment, so I missed it.
About the only thing I have to report, JLDC had a quick meeting with the developers down there on the south campus, the Tippett district down in the south there, give us a little bit more detail on what they're doing down there, so it's looking like a really good project if we can make it work. It's a lot of moving parts right now, so we don't really have anything to report besides it would be a good thing for not only the county, but that area down there, if that got going down there.
It's what you talked about last week.
Yeah,
That's what the project
hydrogen
is,
and
okay.
yeah, battery storage and data center type thing. They all kind of go together.
Mhm.
And the mine was at that meeting and they're interested in it too, because it would benefit the mine as far as power and water, treatment and all that stuff, so. I think it'll turn into something good here. They're just kind of got a time clock because the grant they're putting in for has to be done by the end of the year, which is sneaking up here really quick, so. They're trying to push that in to get some grant money for that project. And let's see, I think that was about all I did. We just had a quick meeting with the Boulder administrations, our healthcare administrator this morning to go over a couple things and didn't have a road meeting, Bear's out of town, and I think that's about it. Nice quick week,
About
we
it.
like those. All right, no public comment. All right, 1:45, not quite here. Let's jump down to resolution 29-2024, establishing burning season. And this is one that Doug brings forth to us every year. We establish the burning season for our permit system. And just to make clear when you can burn, when you can't burn, when you need a permit from us, and when you need a permit from DEQ. So forth, so on. I don't think I'm gonna read through this whole thing. If anybody wants a copy of this, let me know. This essentially establishes the burn season January 1st of next year to December 31st of next year. So throughout the whole year, they have to obtain a burn permit online. I think you can have a recreational fire up to 4 feet in diameter. Anything above that, you better have a burn permit or the fire department's gonna come see you. And possibly the sheriff's office as well, give you a nice ticket.
So basically, Mr. Chair, nothing's changed.
Nothing has changed, no, I think this is the same as we do every year, and we try to do it before the first of the year, so it's in force January 1st, so sometimes we don't get that done, but Doug's been right on it lately, so.
Burn barrels don't require a permit.
I don't think so,
Yeah.
4x4, anything above a 4x4 fire ring, so. All right, any questions about this one?
No, I would move that we approve resolution 29-2024.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir, do we have a
I have a
second?
second, Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, all right, unanimous, thank you, gentlemen. That will pass. All right, Helen, resolution 30-2024,
Our favorite one.
setting holidays for
The holiday.
2025. And this one, we kind of always discuss every year because there's really nothing we can do. We follow Montana State Code or Montana State Law, which we pretty much put into our own resolution. We can't go more than that or less than that, I don't think, so. New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Not Black Friday, sorry.
No Juneteenth yet.
No Juneteenth yet, no, the state hasn't recognized that one yet.
Next year.
Probably so, I'm sure it'll get in there eventually. Any questions on this one?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
Move to approve resolution 30-2024 in reference to the setting of the holidays for 2025.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, all right. Good to go on that one. We'll have a slew of these at the first of the year, I guess, for various things, including getting a new chairman.
Mhm.
All right.
I bet you're
Should've
ready
read the
for that, huh?
resolutions.
What's that?
You should have read the resolutions.
I should have, yeah, we got 5 minutes to wait. Anybody got any good jokes, Connor? You got any good jokes?
No, I'm working on my type 5.
Yeah.
Not there yet.
All right, we'll give this a couple more minutes and then we'll, jump into the 145 resolution lifting agricultural covenant. Coffee minor subdivision. That must be down south, huh?
That one, that was, yeah, down south, down there by Pipestone.
Okay. All right, we'll hang out for a couple minutes. Unless anybody's got something for the good of the order. Pam, you got anything for us? We got a little time in between here.
Just, wondering if we can, get the report for the community health improvement plan put on the agenda after the first of the year.
We sure can. What do you want? How do you want that worded? You want it as just a discussion, or you want to discuss and decide, or a
Discuss and
resolution?
decide.
Or-
I would like to present what we've done with the chaw and the chip, just so that the public is aware. And then I did make a request to consider making the community health improvement plan a resolution. We have a lot of work we're doing with stakeholders, and I feel like that resolution would, give the plan more impact.
Okay,
So that's my request.
okay, yeah, we can sure get you on the agenda, just a discussion
Thank you.
time.
You want?
We need to write a
after the first
resolution
of the
though.
year?
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it, talk about writing a resolution, I guess. We're gonna have to talk to Steve about that and what that all entails.
I mean, there's no time to do it before the first of the year. There's not gonna be an audience to hear it. So.
Right. Do you know if any other counties have made their chips into a resolution? Have you heard of that?
I do not, but I know that a lot of counties have it as part of their strategic plan, which, Jefferson County Health Department will be in the process of creating a strategic plan, and in January and February, we'll be working with DPHHS to do that. And so that will be part of it. One of the things that I feel is important in strategic planning is if we can link funding to that plan, then it helps us to secure funding to do the work that we're doing, which is always something that we are, looking for. We have lots of fluid funding with public health, so comes and it goes, and so we're all support the work we do.
Absolutely. Good deal. Yeah, we'll get that on the agenda and let you know. You know what agenda that'll be, Helen, or are we
I can
gonna,
put that on the 7th.
on the 7th?
Mhm.
Okay.
January.
Bob won't have to worry about it.
Yep, they're already making decisions around me.
All right, I think we're close enough to 145, resolution 28-2024, resolution lifting agricultural covenant. Are these two different line items?
They are.
Okay, so we'll start with the resolution. Lindsay or
This
Delana?
is the copies they've been working, we can hear you guys a few years back about getting this agricultural covenant lifted. So at first I need is the approval of resolution 28-2024, the resolution to lift agricultural covenant.
All right, I guess I can read through this one. We've got some time till 2 o'clock, huh?
You brought this to us a while ago, didn't you, Dana? We
Yes.
talked about it. Yeah,
And she's just, I think she kind of just drifted away for a while and then she came back and we finally got her through the process. He's at the end.
All right, whereas Michael and Roberta Coffey are the owners of a parcel of land situated in the southwest quarter section, and a big description there, Jefferson County, Montana, and whereas a parcel is depicted as tract 2, 98.42 acres of the survey recorded in Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder, January 18th, 2013. Let's see. Is there more than one parcel? For
No,
that?
it's
For an
just one.
agricultural covenant on, okay, on the 98.42 tract 2 parcel, okay. It's called tract 2. Coffee seek to lift agricultural covenant on the 98.42 acre tract 2 parcel, and whereas on July 23rd, 2024, the Board of Jefferson County Commissioners voted to lift the agricultural covenant subject to the 98.42 acre tract 2 acre parcel, I'll say it there, undergoing subdivision review as a residential property and meeting the conditions of preliminary subdivision approval and the recording of the plat to remove any reference to the agricultural covenant. And whereas the conditional preliminary subdivision approval was granted on July 23rd, 2024, and whereas on December 17th, 2024, the Jefferson County Commission conducted a public hearing to discuss and decide on whether their agricultural covenant should be lifted. The Jefferson County Planner and Sanitarian have confirmed the owners have satisfied the conditions necessary to lift the agricultural covenant. After inviting public comment and hearing from members of the Jefferson County Survey Review Committee, the Jefferson County Commission agreed to lift the agricultural covenant. Accordingly, it is resolved the agricultural covenant provided for in COS number 247184 is placed on the 98.42 acre tract 2 parcel is hereby lifted. Dated today, 2024. So reading this, does this need a public hearing that we did not do, or
This is the same way we do all of them.
this is how we do them all?
Yeah.
Okay. I talked to Steve about the hearing part of that. I guess this would be considered a hearing. It doesn't say hearing on the agenda. All right, any questions on this one, gentlemen? No, and entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 28, 2024. Resolution lifting agricultural covenant.
Got a second?
Mr. Chair.
All right, any other discussion, questions, anybody? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, unanimous. All right, we got a final plat approval, Coffee Miner subdivision next on the agenda.
Yes, so this is, now that the resolution is done, she's finished all the paperwork. If you guys want to look through the staff, I do have it on reading, because we have that here. And so we just need a motion to approve the final plat. And I come back here, you guys need to look at
Can I
it.
take a look at it, please?
Yep, there's copies for the look at and sign if you guys choose. Here's all of the documents too.
So this was originally split as an agricultural split. And then to be able to build on it, they have to remove the agricultural covenant and go through subdivision review. I'm assuming that. So it's already been subdivided. Now we're just going through it so they can do a residential lot instead of
Yeah.
an agricultural lot.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. That's a pretty big lot, almost 100 acres.
Yeah, it's a biggie. They'll probably get subdivided.
No.
Not by them.
Okay. No family transfer coming up.
You might put a railroad station right there, though. That'd be a good spot for one.
So the only place it goes is up to the mine.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I guess. You never know. All right, any questions on this one, gentlemen? All right, I'll entertain a motion on final plat approval, Coffee Miner subdivision.
Move to approve final plat approval of the Coffee Miner subdivision.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner. We got a second, all right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right.
Would you throw
Very
Corey
good.
those pens
There's some
down
notes here.
there? No good. Just in time.
I told her she wanted to come in now.
Here's the.
Couldn't email it to because.
Oh, we put it in. Sorry, never done it before.
Two paper ones, two.
It's her.
So I'm like, okay.
So
You were looking at me weird. I'm like,
well, you can save it from here because there was too many pictures.
That's the mouse.
Oh, she handed it to you.
These
Thank
around
you.
to later to look at.
Anyway, you're fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will have open.
Where's that PowerPoint?
For 12/17, the
Cottage Five
presentation, yeah. I do it. It's just about one, and then for like,
Put me on.
Sign on to get started with PowerPoint.
Oh,
Uh-oh,
well, it's fine.
I've done PowerPoints here before,
I know, I don't.
so,
Can I put a sad face right there?
yeah. Probably, did you get one? Can I kind of steal yours?
Maybe.
Maybe. Hold on, I forgot.
Not gonna let it do it,
You have a sign in?
huh?
You have a sign in?
Not for PowerPoint, I don't.
It's just for
don't?
Microsoft. So it's
Sure.
generally like Microsoft or 365 or whatever. Generally that.
You can see if my signing in for my Microsoft account will work.
It's a brand new computer on there. Yeah. Okay.
Looks like it'll work. Oh, you got
There we go. Oh, no.
Thank you.
it. Government of your organization. Well, maybe, I thought I had it.
I can like see it behind there. How
I
can
know.
I'll just let you open it?
Try it again. Like sign in, oh, somebody else signed in. Ah,
Ah,
here. Yeah, I'll
You
try it.
logged onto the computers, public and public, Cory?
Yeah,
Yeah.
try this one more time.
Still missed.
Holy cow. Right after lunch, I can't think. Okay. Not letting me get
We
by
have
there.
one. That's our account. We can just log in.
no, I just have it loaded on my computer. I don't.
You want us to try one of our accounts?
You wanna try Sam, maybe, or
Yeah.
work, I don't know, it's probably whoever signed in on this computer last.
I did print a couple.
Okay,
I can go print one if I need to.
So can,
it might be the Jefferson County admin one too, we'll just have to let Shane know. We've got a couple minutes, let me see if Shane's over there.
I mean, it's asking you to add to data, could you access it like through a Google Drive link? Like,
I'm not sure,
Don't know.
it's almost like whoever signed into this,
I mean, you can
Computer.
computer yourself. and then-
But it's signed in as public and public.
well, I know, but as far as the licensing on the different
Oh.
programs on it, I'm assuming it was probably the admin for the.
We've done PowerPoint.
I know, I've done several.
Yeah, this is something new for sure.
Can you open PowerPoint, like the program, and then try to open the file in the
Oh, yeah.
program?
We try. Leave that up.
Definitely give it a frowny fave.
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, probably not where I can see it, huh?
Right there. If you go
Is
to
it
the right,
Microsoft?
if you go to the
Oh,
right.
right there, okay.
Oh,
Nope. Let me call Shane real quick and see, we've got till
Yeah.
2 o'clock anyway, so.
5 minutes, Tommy has to run.
Click, 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 click. Hey Shane, this is Corey. Are you close to your office or? Can you drop over the clerk and recorder? We got a problem with our PowerPoint over here. It needs a sign in for something. We can't get it to open. Thank you. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Woke him up.
And bring your product key, perhaps.
Yeah. He'll probably sign in with this admin one.
Product key.
Hopefully it will work.
Well, if not, we can share these little trinket ones and get by. But easier to read stuff up there.
And it looks good. You did a good job.
And pictures are bigger. I did show you. Oh, this was the final for the EP thing. That was single spaced.
Nice guy here, he comes up 133. Yeah, twice.
Anderson, yeah, that one.
Did you see that one? Why would it be 142? I'm not gonna open it.
Health insurance.
There's the one that's for 2024.
Yeah, you might have Shane. That is kind of funny. 2022.
Yeah, that's the second one I picked in.
You didn't finish your 2022, obviously.
I don't think elected then. Well, sort of was, but it's hot, stuff 23.
We'll bring you in also with the record.
Oh, just so you're aware, this one, talking to Lucy. He suggests that before we run him, then we do, human. Where are you? What's his? About that kind of thing.
So we got this popping up when we want to try to open up a Microsoft, and I try to sign in just my regular sign in for Microsoft, and it says somebody's already signed on now, and it won't let me buy that. I don't know if you have an admin password to get into the licensing for that, or
Want the keyboard?
Here's the.
Looks like a new one.
it was accepting mine, and then it said, oh, somebody else has already signed on to this computer for their Microsoft
But we signed on this morning, so.
on the public side, yeah. But the county for these public computers or
Well, you're only allowed like 5
licenses.
activations,
Users?
so you might have already used all yours,
Oh, gotcha.
possible.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, we can go in and clear them out, but.
While we're waiting, that's the feasibility. This is the feasibility study, the first done last year. I can send you an electronic copy once you get your email.
Correct. Should be.
Oh. Yeah, no. that's
Should be
what
full
you
of
said.
22,
So then I'll show
full of years.
All kinds of stuff.
Okay. Got something for you here when you get done. I think it's
We should have put that.
somebody efficient.
This one?
That's what it did. though.
No, I just needed it to count up exactly how many were.
I don't know how you sign them out. I guess it would be the public that signed in.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I had to count them just to.
It's not critical, Shane, if we don't get it today. We just had a few minutes to spare. We thought we'd give you a shot at it.
Do you want me to come along?
That should have worked, yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing when I signed in. So somehow it signed.
But I don't see any other Microsoft products that are open.
Zoomed in, we can share that.
It's almost like all the Microsoft products on this particular unit are
Do you want me to run
under
it
somebody's
to
name, but
Zoom
I don't know how to tell you.
on Zoom and then I
I mean,
can.
they'd have to sign in for some reason. That's what I get out of the message.
Do you want me to just go grab my laptop and then go on to the Zoom and then share my screen from my laptop to the Zoom so that I.
If we got handouts, I wouldn't go through all that.
Okay.
They're wanting a password. Oh. and
We have
then an
4.
add-on, you can download
I
it.
have 5. I really only got
So that's
5.
our cybersecurity training.
2022.
Yeah, it was, Cody built it in 2022, so that's why it's got that date on there.
Oh, I need to take a, go all through the crap, about 45 minutes.
Can you
For some reason, your email address was bouncing all of their emails from them, so you haven't logged in like 1,500 days to this website. And so that's why it's showing that you've got this many that are undone, not done.
Is that why you were asking me?
That's one of the reasons what we were talking about yesterday.
Okay.
share one?
But yeah, that's not a scam. That's actually the site we use for.
Because I thought
training.
2022, I'm like, whoa. So am I, do I need to respond to all this or just that we're good now?
If you go log into that website, it should show you where you're at and what you can.
Yeah, because it said something about 45 minutes to do whatever.
Yeah, the initial one I think was 45 minutes.
This is a long time, right?
Gotta do it once a year, I think.
I don't know anymore.
Thanks, Shane.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. You can come back and figure it out when we're out of a meeting.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna run. or-
Yeah, she'll be right back. It might be, there's a lot of content and I don't have enough for everyone has, I only brought
You want
4
us to try to make it up?
as a stream, or we can.
So she jumps on Zoom, she
Yeah.
can share.
Try 3 more minutes, and if not, we'll just do 5. We'll do 5.
Are we breaking it?
Well, she's gonna jump on Zoom from her office and get on here.
Yeah, and then she should be able to share from her Zoom.
We'll see. Yeah.
And that'll actually get recorded on the Zoom too, so it'll be
Yeah.
a little bit more of a record.
Bart?
What are we listening to?
Walking around the Christmas tree.
Where's that at?
Let's see, so,
Oh,
Somebody's playing on their phone during a meeting.
I've got a website on corgis.
What?
Corgis. And him and Jessica got one, so.
I just used
The what?
the Zoom password to get onto the
Oh.
meeting. Thank you. Great, thank you.
My son out there, I would never.
There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. Page 9.
Can you share your screen, Sam?
Under share, yeah.
You have to let her share for you.
I don't think so. It
It
automatically,
usually does.
usually they go jump right on there.
Doing something weird with the computer audio. There we go. Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, yay, in a roundabout way. Here we are.
Maybe we'll get it sorted.
Enlarge your screen a little bit.
I'm trying to do, just, and, there you go. There.
I think that looks good.
Yay, okay.
We're all set.
So this is going to be a lot of content today on Cottage 5 been working on a lot of things. I thought for the sake of Craig, we would start at the beginning and go through, it's like kind of a brief history of what has been going on with Cottage Five over the past decades. Starting in 1973 was when the state finally closed it down as a dorm, and then it was turned into a recycling center. Can't quite tell for how many years it was used, but all the cans and things were cleared out of there sometime in the early 1980s. In 2000, it was turned over to Jefferson County from the state of Montana. And then shortly after, it went through everything you need to become a subdivision. It's part of the Pishkin subdivision. Got that name right?
Yep.
So at that point, it's really great. They reviewed a lot of the things that we have needed to apply for grants that go with the Montana, the NEPA standards. So all that was done in the 2000s. In 2009, JLDC was interested in purchasing the building to turn it into a crematory, milk
Creamery?
creamery.
Aren't many,
And they were instead of making
Aren't many of them.
culinary art school or something.
Oh,
Yeah, heard
there aren't
that.
many of those around anymore.
No, Victoria Murray, but it might have been a good use for it. They were nervous about, because of the age of the building, that there was hazardous materials. So they funded a building assessment and reuse plan with CTA Historic Preservation Services. And they put together a really nice document. It was about 40 pages. Thoroughly looking at the structure, the roof, things that they needed to repair to be able to reuse the building. They came away with an estimate of 1.6 million to renovate at that time. They did find the samples they sent in did come back that it was lead-based paint and asbestos. So that triggered, later on, we'll get to the phases of EPA cleanup for environmental site assessments. So at that point, JLDC board voted to replace the roof. That was the main thing the building assessment identified. They said the rest of the building is actually great, very sturdy. It really just needs a roof. If you're gonna ever do anything with this down the future, you should throw a new roof on, keep water damage from getting in. So that happened in 2011, cost about $80,000 at that time. In 2014, they were proposed to be on the National Register of Historic Places. That was a kind of a one-year process where they submitted all these records, and it is officially on the registration now. In 2016, the phase 1 and phase 2 were sort of kind of done. Phase 1, there's not much to that document. It's just saying, yes, hazardous materials are present. Go ahead and trigger the phase 2. So phase 2 was a much longer document, took several kind of years to complete, and that finally came out in 2018. And 2022, the Boulder River Commons Master Plan was a result of MDC closing completely. It was all those study circles, and they wanted, I think you were involved in some of that, and it was a whole big document then and they kind of put together concepts for what you could do with the MDC in the South Campus. It involved everything from commercial buildings or housing complexes, different development options. But most important from that document is that they included in the community that what do you want done? And a lot of it came back was improve our medical facilities, try to recreate our industry into recreation-based, anything that promotes like different industries coming in. But they also said they would really like to see these buildings open back up to the general public. It was like overwhelmingly 90% of people wanted it to be reopened for public use. And then in 2023, we came back with the feasibility study, this guy here. This was funded by ARPA. High Plains Architects came. We spent a significant amount of time going through the building and working with Pam to see if the floor plans, the historic use would fit what their needs were. So first we identified what were the health department's needs and could they be fit into this building? And the answer is yes. Next slide. Really quick, I just wanted to touch on Brownsfield cleanup. I went to a workshop 3 weeks ago, and I thought it would be helpful to just quick highlight the flow of how they handle and address brownfields. So what is a brownfield site? is a property where redevelopment or reuse of building may be complicated by the presence of a hazardous substance or contaminant. These sites were previously developed sites but are now abandoned. So often it's like someone wants to buy an old vacant building, but they're worried about the hazardous materials. So phase one is sort of brought to the building with no blame to whoever may or may not buy it or who ended up with it. In our case, you guys ended up with it. So phase two has been completed. And at this point, from 2018 on, DEQ, Jason Saylor has been primarily spearheading the DEQ program for brownfields. And they've been working with Montana Asbestos Control Program to create a plan. All that plan is completed now. We put a bid out in November and the price came back too high for what they could afford at that time. They can only do cleanup and $200,000 increments. So, but just to be clarified, there's a federal brownfields that has all this funding by EPA. And then there's our state brownfield that has X amount of funding. So next slide.
And we're in the cleanup phase, right?
Yeah. So quick rundown of what the phase two identified as our hazards are, the crawl space is a big issue. The friable material around the pipes, the insulated pipes from freezing were made of asbestos. All that's crumbled and is all over the soil now. So they'll have to go in there and remove some of the bigger debris and pipes and then basically seal that in, just seal the soil and asbestos in place. That's the plan that they've come up with, and that is approved by the asbestos control program. The ceiling walls, everything you look at is full of lead-based paint. And then the floor itself, the magnesite floor is basically asbestos flakes worked in with the concrete. However, that asbestos is not friable if it's sealed. It's still an excellent product actually for what they want it to do. It just needs a seal on it.
Not a problem.
Yeah. The 80+ windows that are painted with all lead-based paint, and then the little tiny glazing around every single pane of window has asbestos in it.
Has asbestos in it?
Yeah. Next slide. So the DEQ is basically very committed to this program. However, they recommended to me that I go ahead and apply for the EPA fiscal year 2025 grant for cleanup. So I did, and it was tedious. It turned out to be this 10-page document. It was submitted in November, and they will select
May.
projects in May. Yep. And I went ahead and asked for $800,000. And that also though covers, when an EPA funds a grant, they have a lot more fussy things they need. They need qualified environmental professional to produce all these reports that you have to put on the Acres website. It's considerably more than if DEQ were to just do it. EPA has a lot more requirements. So I went ahead and asked for then however much I needed to do all the cleanup. So if we get selected in May, last year 75% of applicants were awarded. And this year's EPA cleanups were going to only communities that had 15,000 people or less. So that's really good in our favor this year. Last year, we probably wouldn't have even got anywhere close.
Good.
But there's specific focus on small communities this year. So that would address all of the cleanup things in one big swoop. However, if we don't get it and DEQ continues to fund our work, they're going to start with the crawl space in May, then move on to ceilings and walls in the next contract, then move on to the windows in the third contract. With each one of those segments is about $200,000. Next slide. And then another big thing we were working on is the Montana Historic Preservation Grant. Dan, I know you and I talked about it, but I got some more details. I met with Commerce on the 12th. We had a Zoom meeting with the department people in charge. And they said they would still, we're not out of the running. They only had 6 million they could officially award. However, they want us to go and testify. We are allotted 3 minutes each project. You testify to the legislature on January 15th through the 17th is what this hearing schedule is for. So we'll have 3 minutes, and they said they recommended you give any updates to the project, such as any other grants you've received or contracted work completed. Anything that kind of shows the smooth transition from where the building is now, leading up through the abatement and completion. They also to highlight economic impact and value, and also really highlight that you've had a community health needs since, I'm not sure when this was brought forward.
Our community health assessment was just finished.
But I mean, how long have you wanted a health department?
Oh, well, I asked, back in 21, so it's been 4 years ago.
Okay.
I have documentation from when Noel Mathis was the, public health supervisor for a request that was about 11 years ago.
Okay, so 11 to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So you say, you know, we have this important community need, we have this brownfield, this is a great adaptive use that will fit and help both things, you know, the county doesn't really want to vacate for enough liability sitting out there. We'd also like a place for a health department. So just not, and that's something maybe I was hoping you could talk to me. We'll work out a 3-minute speech for our testimony. But the schedule for as of right now, and I looked at the legislative planning session, it was scheduled for January 15th to the 17th is the MHPG hearing. They hope to award up to 10 million, so we would fall within that category if, depending on how this shakes down. So that's that update. Let's see. And that, I just wanted to quick highlight what I did ask for in that grant was $26,000 to the concrete testing and just a little reinforcements that was identified in feasibility study. 61,000 for the platform lift, which will need to be ADA compliant. 90,000 for the low voltage data and fire alarm. I did meet with the fire inspector for the state, and that's the one that he recommended, and I got a quote on that. That's what it shook out to be. And 300,000 is general electric from the feasibility study. I have talked to a couple electricians, and they said that was a pretty good estimate to just keep that number. So, oh no. Next, we'll move on to the
So
RFP.
how much was that grant?
500,000,
500. So you've got 800 and 500 so far.
yes.
Okay.
Next is the RFP. So this is a kind of part of the ARPA wrap up. A few months ago, we were told that Mako was told that we couldn't just count the ARPA funds in our own budget as being allocated. It needs to be in a contract or something very official or similar. So what we came up with a couple weeks ago, I met with a contractor on site. And we looked at the feasibility study and what are some things that would prepare the building for abatement cleanup, or were exterior renovations that would just help kind of solidify the building and help us be able to work in there with renovations in the future. So what was put in the builder monitor last week was this RFP. And it's also on the website under notices. This is everything we can come up with. Hard to say what the bids are. I'm hoping we'll be within the realm of what is left for the ARPA funding for under the public health. Right now, that allocation amount is $188,725. So that's what's left. As far as the other ARPA funding left, there isn't too much. There's me. And a little bit left in economic support. So I thought we did pretty good. We got all of our projects completed. Very fast timeline there in the past 2 months, but pretty happy with the way we did very well. Things. Fancy gym is just going to be glowing. They were putting in a roof last week and heat is going and the plumbing's being done this week. Oh, big deal. So I handed this around. This is kind of the things that we're asking for from the proposal. I also created a visual aid that is on the website as well. If people cannot make the building tour on Friday, I realize it's the holidays, it's kind of crazy. I also put a visual aid online for people to look at what we're talking about. So for example, we're demolishing the gable out front. All these shelves, curtain rods, sinks, bathroom stalls, cabinets, all that needs to come out before you can start with the lead-based paint abatement. All they do will come in and just scrape, paint. All these other weird things need to be removed before they can begin that work. So the contractor also had some good ideas that I wouldn't have even thought about. So we added those in there too, and they're all ended up in this RFP, including removing those trees that will be parking in the future and are just damaging to the foundation. Cotton trees are a nightmare. So this is something that will be, the proposed timeline is here on the third page. 31st, we'll review the packets and you can decide award. You could do line by line item. We kind of made it so we could look at and pick whatever you wanted, depending on what comes back. And then work could begin anytime between now and January 31st when Steve gets the official contract awarded to the contractor. So, but work could start right away. The theory would be to keep the flow going. So if we get the grant in May, we could immediately start abatement cleanup. We wouldn't have to then wait to do all this, then start the abatement cleanup. This will be a December 31st decision. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Then this grant is another grant we have coming along, submitted December 12th. So that was last week. This grant I heard about at the Brownsfield workshop, and once I got kind of looking into it, it super fits this project and what we're trying to do. First, I'd never heard of really an environmental justice. What does that mean? It was brought up in the EPA cleanup grant, but as I fleshed it out more, this whole organization is set up to award grants to projects like this in communities like ours. So first requirement you have to make to be able to put in for this grant is, are you in a disadvantaged community? And yes, we are. All Boulder is, primarily for our disinvestment in the community. For example, mines closing, the facility closing, everything's closing, employment. And then for the cleanup, environmental hazards, I mean, we're right next to a Superfund site. So that's, I mean, Basin's only 8 miles from here, and that's a 77-acre Superfund site that we are downriver from. So this grant we put in for also, we'll find out about this in May, whether or not they're awarded. I asked for, in this particular grant, building envelope supplies, or what they buzzword call green infrastructure. But essentially, it's all of the things that were in the feasibility study that will make the building very cozy. I mean, our highest concern is that we're not freezing in an old building in the winter, right? And we don't want to spend a fortune heating the building. So all of these upgrades are kind of expensive to do in the beginning, but through the life of the project, they can really save you down the road on not having much as far as heating costs. So I asked for all of this in this grant, including installation of window inserts. And this is where I may or may not, if we can't figure out the historic windows, I might take them out. We'll just get brand new windows in there because they're cheaper than trying to take out the asbestos and the lead-based paint and rebuilding historic windows. So, but for now, we're just leaving them in there. But something I kick around. And consulting money for $14,000 for a QEP to file some reports, and 2% admin for me, just in case this project runs out after ARPA money runs out, or, you need me to keep working past the ARPA money.
Leah, from what you see from
Yes.
here, what are our chances, like on this part, does it look
Really
good?
good. They have a wild amount of funding. In fact, I was told yesterday, if you are awarded, you should go ahead and turn right around and apply for cycle 2 for an additional $300,000 to go with your project. That's how much money they have to give out. And it's actually hasn't been very advertised either. So this one I'm feeling the most optimistic about, actually. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so that's what we've got coming ahead. So cycle 2, I'd like to apply either way, whether we won or didn't win, for cycle 2 funding, which they haven't released the deadline yet, but she thinks sometime in spring, as that's all they could tell me. They don't have an exact date. State Historic Preservation Office has a grant for $100,000. That's coming up on February 10th. I'll pick out a different component from the feasibility study and ask for that. Tracy Foundation, same, their deadline's coming up March 25th. And I'm currently researching Department of Energy grants for the ground source heat pump. I have reservations about a ground source heat pump. If someone wants to pay us for it, I think we should go that route. If not, I think traditional HVAC might be just fine once we make building envelopes. It's something that I don't know, that they're just starting to do those ground source heat pumps, and I just don't know if they're quite what we need just yet. But I am researching grants for it, because if someone wants to give you $500,000 to put it in, that's probably okay too. So, and the historic tax credits, I'm holding off for now on making any forward motion with that. It's still out there. I'm writing all these grants and doing everything the way that you should in case we need to do that in the end. But if it's something that it causes more problems than just getting the building finished, I think we should not do it. Yeah, and like I said, grants will not be stacked. Each of these grants that I'm putting in for and future ones I find, I'm just gonna ask for just different components. So let's say wild chance you end up with all of them, then I don't have to modify or change any of the grants. They'll all be for different components. Okay, and then is there one more slide? Okay. Oh, yeah, we can get it. So, any questions?
You have a total of where you are compared to what this whole project costs? I mean, in grants, I can't remember what the total cost of this project was, around 4 million. was the
It's
last-
3.1.
3.1.
Yeah. And that includes a 1% increase of contractor from last year to this year.
It's about a year old now, too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I updated it to the 3.1
Okay.
from the increase.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 297 or something before and then. we
Great.
So with
How
all
short-
these grants rolled up in a ball, how close are you to
How short are we?
$3.1 million?
Well, I don't want to say because it depends on if we get these grants. The ones we really need to get, we'll know in May.
Okay,
We really need that 800,000 EPA grant. Just to make it speed along. The DEQ will still do the cleanup, which is great. But I think if we could do everything at once, it would really be fantastic. And then it'd be fantastic if we got this big $500,000 historic preservation grant. And if not, the thriving environmental justice grant would be great too. So we just need any one of them, really would be fantastic. So,
But we're still short. We don't have 3.1 million.
no, it depends on if we could still hold out till May to wait with the other big 800,000 of the. I can't remember what those letters were in that number. But that doesn't have the time constraints and the allocations that the ARPA funding.
well, the local assistance grant.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right now, she will have, if we do the another next, over 2 million in grant. So that's great.
oh,
As a win, Lindsay?
Now, well, if you do the sort of the 800. Plus, she's gonna do the 100 plus another 500, and then if the EPA or the. Environmental justice, if you can end up to 600, if you go around for the next round, that's at 2 million. MHPG is also another one that you can do for a second round too.
multiple rounds.
Yeah.
And the historic tax credits, I believe, if we do go that route, would add another 20% the cost, which I think was around 600,000. And I did look, you can use grant money that you were awarded to then get paid back for out of the historic tax credits, which I didn't know if they would let you, but I looked it up and they do let you, which is surprising to me. But, yeah, there's kind of just the update on where we're at with that project and where we're ending up with the ARPA funding. I guess, the big thing will be thinking about, just looking at the RFP and if that is something you want to do, hearing what the proposals and prices come back from to get all that work completed. One thing I think that should be done regardless is the patching the roof. There's a small leak that drips down onto the east or the west side ramp, it's small, it's like this. And you know, the roof was put in quite a while ago, 10+ years, so it doesn't hurt to breeze over it, repair and patch everything. The feasibility put in there a dollar amount of about $5,000. So. That is about it. We don't really have any decisions to make today. It's more just an update, wrapping up for the end of the ARPA money.
So this list here is the rest of the ARPA money that's available. We're just trying to get it out the door before the end of the year, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
So all of this stuff would go in a contract.
I think that's probably my biggest, concern is throwing a bunch of money into this building that we don't know what's gonna go. And I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but
I agree with you.
it's gonna be a hard sell for us to throw, especially, I mean, if we didn't do anything else with the money, I would say, yeah, let's do it. But we can divert that money somewhere else for the time being. That's probably my biggest thing, and I know you got.
The
ours.
question, if they start to proceed with the cleanup, DEQ is
Mhm.
committed to start the cleanup either way. How will you do the prep work for them to be able to do the cleanup? Where will that funding come from?
Well, that's information I didn't know. We had to do some work up front.
Yeah,
That's part of this then.
yeah.
Okay.
So all that stuff, removing the registers,
Mhm.
those are things that aren't hazardous materials. They just need to be removed and demoed from the building.
Okay.
So how do we
I wasn't aware of that. needed to
prepare
be done.
those?
That's
Yeah,
part of
that's
their-
something too that I didn't know until we fleshed out that contract with DEQ. And there I was like, well, what about this and this and this? Oh, no, you guys need to, that's your responsibility to
I
take
never heard
out.
that. I thought they were
Yeah.
kind of,
No, they'll come in and scrape off all the paint, encapsulate everything, you know, secure, remove the, has stuff with asbestos on it. Things like taking out curtain rods are the county's responsibility.
oh, gotcha. Okay. That's the first I've heard of that, so.
Yeah.
What I suggest we do between now and 31st is figure out what those things are that we need to do to get out of the way and maybe get this narrowed down to what kind of money we need.
Yeah, and
That
that's what kind of when we did the walkthrough, that's something I wasn't aware of either, till I met with the contractor 2 weeks ago. He goes, you know, and he almost laughed at me. He's like, no, they won't be doing that stuff. And that's why this was devised, because I'm like, wow, if that's a need, well, that was not mentioned in the feasibility study
So
As
all the
something that
stuff
needed
on the
to be done.
RFP is what needs to be done.
to
I think-
prepare for them to come in and do abatement.
I don't think that we can minimize this. If
Oh,
that's
there's
what you're
nothing that
asking. I
can be
think, no,
taken out
I
of
think
this?
this is all needs.
No,
to
we
be-
could take some stuff out, like we could do the trees at a later day. I mean, Pat could probably take down the gable.
Aren't we still getting the cart before the horse?
Well, to a point, but if we can't do the EPA cleanup, we can't,
Are we ever gonna do the building? I mean, that's the decision that needs to
Right.
be made. You know,
Right.
that's the question.
true,
Is this ever gonna happen?
because $200,000 is a pretty big chunk. Go ahead. Connor.
I'm sorry, this is ancient reporting, and I forget what the fund name is, but it's something like the indigenous, I don't think it's conservation continuity, something.
Local assistance,
Local- the
yeah,
local
community
assistance.
tribal
And
thing, yeah.
was there like a potential for Cottage Drive to receive like $800,000 from that? Or-
Yep, we still have that sitting there.
You still have that sitting there, so I mean, with that and ARPA, isn't that $1 million right there
What do you mean $1 million for what?
for Cottage Five?
For the difference.
So then.
Figure 2 million, and we're still $1 million out.
Oh, no, but
2
that
million
doesn't,
in grants and
Yeah,
1
but-
million in that is 3 million, yes.
it
So
looks like you're gonna make your presentation to
Potentially.
the state legislature in January, and that there are 2 other potentially $800,000 awards that you might receive, and I don't know, it seems like you're very close to the threshold, and I wasn't sure where some of the numbers were coming from, or we're actually far away, and
But I'm not sure we can guarantee that the
I'm
LAC
not
money,
pontificating, I'm asking like, is that true?
I'm not sure we can guarantee that money's available.
Okay, why is that?
Because of the money the county needs to run itself.
Okay.
And, you know, one time we put that money away thinking we'd use it for that, but right now the budget doesn't look as though it can accommodate that.
Okay.
And I mean, people roll their eyes every time I bring this up because they don't want to hear
Realize
that.
This was a flexible pot of money that
Yeah.
could just be transferred into the general fund.
I'm not sure the whole thing is as flexible as it was at one time. But these guys are gonna have to make that decision out there.
Yeah, but everything in the RFP is things that need to be done to renovate the building. They aren't, their costs, so they're costs specifically identified in feasibility study with estimates. So I know that they'll probably fall within what we have left in ARPA funding. And I wasn't aware of that either until I met with a contractor 2 weeks ago, and that's why I was sort of panicking, because I was like, well, I didn't realize we would have to do all this stuff, that doesn't, things like removing registers that aren't hazardous materials would be our responsibility. And I guess it would be your responsibility too, if you tore the building down and sent all the materials to Colorado. Because of the floor, if you do go to tear this down, it will have to ship out. I don't know an exact estimate on what it cost to tear down, but I think the one par had 3 or 5 million to tear, but they had 9 rolled up in that too. I can look into it a little bit more, but between 3 and 5 million to tear down the building and haul them off to the hazardous material special dumping site. So that's
So
part of the issue too.
if you can, or have time, Leah,
Yeah.
will you condense this into what would need to be done to do the DEQ cleanup?
Yes,
And so we can decide whether we wanna throw ARPA money at that, or if we wanna put the ARPA money somewhere else and then use the local assistance funding to get to where we wanna do this. I guess, like Bob said, we don't wanna get the cart way before the horse
Mhm.
here and throw a bunch of money into it that
Yeah.
eventually gonna be.
I think we should put some time into trying to figure out how else to come up with that $1 million. What can we do for donations? What can we do for creating a committee for this building? To begin to attract donations to try to make up a big portion of that $1 million that we need.
donations as much as just more grants.
More,
Like,
either-
I just in
whichever way
a
you
month,
get there.
I found 3 other grants that I didn't even know about from going to one training. If I had more time to go to more trainings or to learn more, there's a whole organization on Mountain and Prairies, the MAP EGA, they have, you can sign up to meet with a consultant and they help you search for grants. So I've reached out to them to try to get on their schedule, so then I could learn about more grants to put in for. So,
It's
yeah,
often hard to get the grants synchronized to
yeah.
make your project work right, but
But you can do it. I mean, we
Yeah,
know
sure.
what they are and we know what the
Just
numbers
more work.
are.
just more work.
Yeah. But if you need to come up with $1 million to do X, Y, Z, then
I
that's
think
how
you
you do
might,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So Leah,
Mhm.
am I right in hearing that there's 188,000 ARPA dollars in ARPA funds dedicated to public health?
yes, that we were kind of tentatively saving as a match.
Right.
We needed a match for the
But not
Montana
dedicated
Historic
to
Preservation
public
Grant. yes,
Dedicated to
And
health.
that was the match. So,
I'm not
So
sure.
I guess
dedicated
I'd
to
like
public
to
health.
ask the commissioners, if we're not gonna put that 188,000 of dedicated public health money into this building, what is it gonna go to for public health?
It's,
I don't think it was.
it's not dedicated to public health anymore.
But I believe that we were promised a certain amount of the ARPA funding.
The local assistance funding we did earmark for you, but I mean, everything's changed. That we've been from one account to the other account. These have been bouncing around ever since ARPA started, so
We put it in our general fund.
it doesn't have to go to you. It doesn't have to go to health department anyway. It
well,
doesn't-
it hasn't been transferred yet. I don't
Our
think-
plan is to put it in the general fund by July 20 or December 31st. To make sure we hold on to it, yeah.
So if this was awarded, it would be awarded on the 31st, and we could use this funding for for this work.
Right.
was
Did you
the
have a
thought.
question, Connor?
Yeah, so I'm so sorry. So the money that from ARPA that was allocated to the public health department is going to be repurposed and put into the general fund with, under the pretense that it's not under any specific line item in the budget? Wasn't that a prerequisite for retaining federal dollars that had to be committed to a specific line item by the 31st?
It would be specific to a line item by the 31st.
We need to-
How can it just be thrown into the general fund?
We could have thrown it all into the general fund to begin with. That was part of the rules.
Is that part of the rules?
Yeah.
Okay, forgive me.
Yeah.
There's a misunderstanding. Thank you, Cory.
we've been trying to follow the ARPA guidelines anyway, because we just don't wanna be audited and
Right.
them change their
So-
mind at
yeah.
some point.
Totally understood.
When this all came out, like, I don't even know if it was 3 months after that, they said, anybody less than 12 million, I think, you can just shift it to your general fund and you're
Is that
done.
true? Okay.
They did that for these little tiny communities, so we wouldn't have to follow all the rules, so.
Okay.
But we've been following them anyway, just to kind of play with the rules. That's my understanding anyway.
Thank you, Corey.
Well, I guess it was my understanding that we had at least 150,000 that would be used for public health. When we went through those initial ARPA meetings and put in our requests for funding. And so I haven't used the money because we've been looking at building expansion pretty much since we got the money.
I believe 40,000 of it went to the feasibility study, actually out of your line item.
So, yeah, and we broke all this up for all sorts of different stuff and everybody's been using it, but we're down to the end and we gotta do something with it. And if the commission doesn't want to pour it into a building, we're not sure we're gonna.
I
Do anything with it.
understand that, but what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that, I have reserved making requests for that money because a building expansion was my main need.
Right,
There are other public health needs
sure.
that, you know, we haven't looked at or explored.
But once we divert it into general fund, I mean, if there's something that you need, I'm assuming you could request that at that point. We just don't want to give it back to the federal government, obviously, so we need to.
No,
we need to
I
put it on our
know,
books.
I'm just looking for, some ability to use funds for public health that I thought were dedicated to public health.
Yeah, and I think once we transfer it to general fund, it's still there. It's just not in ARPA anymore, so.
Because quite honestly, public health has supplemented the general fund for several years with the money we've gotten. In fact, this year, quite a bit of my staff salary came out of, you know, some
Right.
funding that
Your
was
grants,
accessed
yep,
to
no,
us.
absolutely. I agree with that, so. But now that we're down to the end, we gotta do something with it. If we don't spend it or dump it into our general fund, then
There are always public health needs is what I'm saying.
sure.
Yeah, I guess it kind of boils down to whether with this last 188,000, we get these proposals, I don't know, X amount, how much they'll be, let's say 100,000 for all, just for easy math, all these things listed. If Pam's okay with that, with the vision of it being the health department one day, I guess that's your sacrifice to make, I don't know.
That's a big decision.
Yeah. That will be discussed on the 31st when we see what all this stuff costs. There's no way to know until we throw it out there to see what prices we get back. from
We have
contractors.
this on the agenda to make some kind of decision on it, or,
Mhm.
okay,
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
yes, sir.
So if this money was without all the grants
Mhm.
and without, and nothing can be done by the DEQ without all of this stuff being finished first. None of the cleanup can be done without this being finished first.
Not all of the items, but for
Well-
sure, like the things removed from the walls,
Okay, so,
the cabinets. the
So
curtain
without
rods,
this
the
money-
registers.
so this money doesn't go away, but it's still allocated to a certain account, even if they put it in the general fund. It's not going anywhere until May or whatever, when we find out if we get these other projects. And then they could look at your stuff or an alternative to this or something else. Because it really hinges on, this money isn't doing much for us from what I'm hearing today, unless we get all the rest of the stuff you've been working on. Which is a great job. I love to see grants and everybody going out and getting them, because there's a ton of them out there if you know where to find them. But this has to be done first. But even if we do this and we don't get any of that money, now we're 5 or 10 years down the road again. And all of this stuff we have to do again because we're in the same boat.
I don't think we'd
Is
have
that, is
to,
that kind of,
well, we wouldn't have to redo all of this stuff again because we would remove it one time and it would be gone.
and that's what I mean by some of the stuff on here, and I think you mentioned maybe not be done and still do some of the cleanup stuff. And I understand
yeah.
the pipes and the toilets and,
Yeah,
but new doors and,
yeah, the exterior doors are mostly because there's no way to open them, there's no keys, so I don't know how to get them open so people can do abatement cleanup work. That was one thing that came up our building tour, They wanted to be able to get into the crawl space and I don't have a key and it's like all rusted shut. So that came about from the contractors wanting to use the doors.
Okay.
That's how it
That
is
makes
up
sense.
there. Yeah, they're like, we'd love to get into the building. I'm like, sorry, can only use the front. It's the only key I have. So,
Making sure I know what's going on.
yeah, so the things that are on here are mostly to prepare for work that makes sense and or are for the integrity of the building, like the roof. And then cutting down the trees so the roots aren't wrecking the foundation. Like those sort of things are just basic preserving the building things. And or need to be done for cleanup to proceed.
Well, and I'm hearing that with patients, you know, and with finding more resources, that this could be done in stages. It might not be done tomorrow, might not be done in 5 years.
The
but
crawl space
we
would
could-
probably start either way, once they announce the cleanup, or either hopefully winter, if not, then DEQ has their package ready, they're gonna re-put out to bid to do the crawl space first. That will probably be based on the estimates we got last month. That'll all be done in one swoop. Once that's completed, they'll rework their bid again, they have all these rules and stuff. They'll do the walls and ceilings, the lead-based paint, and the ballasts, a few little light fixtures and things in the second round. And then, once that's completed, that might take 6, 8 months. Then they'll start to do the third bid package, which will be the windows. And the windows are the kind of fussy, annoying ones. So all the windows will come out, go to a workshop, need to be worked on, and put back in. So that's why they're doing it in that stage. It's kind of based on contamination and they don't want to recontaminate areas,
Right.
etc. Once they have the basement cleaned, they'll seal that off, then work on this. Once all that's done, they can remove the windows and take them off-site to make a mess. Bring back clean windows.
And if she doesn't give the income, we have the 200 already every,
Yeah, well,
that,
DEQ is already committed to that.
so.
And that's part of, that's
Regardless.
part of the cleanup starting with the crawl space.
Yeah. Yeah. We're actually one of their 3 priority projects right now for the whole state, College 5. And I'm hoping Jason will be here actually on the 31st is planned to talk through this too. And we can ask him more questions too about the registers and yeah, that was, and he can kind of help us talk through the process too.
I'll talk to Ginger a little bit more, but I think if we divert that into the general fund, it will still be there, like Craig said, for
In May or
later
whatever we-
decisions. I hate to get all tied up on ourselves at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because of our bills.
The
Good night.
downside of not doing it, based on my conversation with Commerce, is when we go into the historic preservation grant testimony, one thing that we got dinged on our application is lack of commitment from Jefferson County for the project. And I did the best I could with what I had.
Yeah.
But I get that. So if we had an update that preparation, we contracted money, went to this building to prepare for the abatement, shows forward motion on the
Yeah.
building. Whereas right now, we don't have anything like that we can say. Because we won't know about any of these grants till May.
Right.
It's just unfortunate timing. But this is one thing that we could update that is meaningful.
And during legislation, when she shows that we've done this and that, they don't have to go in order. They can bump up and choose lower down the line with who has made the most progress between now and then too. So if we can show that we will show all the work that she has done, they can choose you before the 20 other ones that are in front of us.
Right.
So we're not in that order.
Because
Mark,
these,
did you have a question?
Well, I just had a comment and I was really appreciated the history about this building and the process that the county has gone through. And at one point, I think you said something about people were really behind saving some of these old buildings.
that's in the Boulder.
And
River.
I remember that. I was part of that when we were doing some of that. And I was just thinking that maybe there's some maybe a volunteer day to do some work on the interior. And that might be.
You have to be
adding-
certified to do, or training to even
Do
pull
anything
stuff
in
out.
asbestos,
Okay, so you
yeah.
can't do anything
Yeah,
in
so you
it.
can't just have any old
Okay, got it.
volunteer out
That's
there.
that's the safety thing.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Cause boy, I'd be willing
Thought
to get
about
in
it.
there and.
I'd love to just spray paint. 'cause it gets crazy.
Well, I don't mean that part, but pulling some of the old stuff out.
Yeah,
Because that's what I'm talking about, not
unfortunately,
not
whoever
doing
does the
the actual
cleaning there will
abatement,
have to
you can't do
wear
that.
full respirator and that sort of.
Okay, so
stuff.
you are required to do that kind of thing if you're
Yeah.
in the building, because we've been in the building already.
Because blood
Getting tours.
Right, but we're not stirring up dust. and
Yeah, right.
Removing
Okay.
pipes and bathroom stalls and things.
Yeah, gotcha, okay. Just another idea, I just think there's all.
Yeah, I think I put that on the RFP here. Project site contains lead-based paint chips on floor surfaces. Full face respirator masks are recommended during demolition and repair inside the building. And that no work will be performed in the crawl space at all.
I think the little bit that we have to invest to get that stuff out there will be a good investment because that helps us use TEQ dollars to get it cleaned
Efficiently
up.
to
Whether
get
we
it-
use it or not, we're gonna have to get it cleaned up, whether we tear it down or
Yeah,
whatever we do with it, but.
it does help DEQ be more efficient though,
Mhm.
because they're quite frankly, they're the slow ones in this whole process. Just that little packet to put out to bid took 100 years, took like all summer. And now it's all done, they have it ready to go. But yeah, anything we can do to help them be sped up in the future, I think is valuable.
And we can ask Jason to go through this prior to the 31st
Yeah.
to see what could be taken off.
Yeah, that would be good. if we
Yeah,
could get it tightened
to
up
get a
little
little-
bit.
Yep. Here's.
And for everybody's information, Leah's got 2 more years in funding to stay doing what she's doing.
All right,
Just so we get her funded for 2 more years. After that, we're gonna have to find out how to fund her. I guess GLDC will have to figure out how to fund her.
One of the grants she has in there, do funding for her position.
Yeah,
Mhm.
most of the grants, the bigger ones going forward, they have more requirements that they would need from me, so I do have at least between 2 and 5% admin fee, just to
Mhm.
make sure that there's continuity of the project either way going forward once ARPA funding runs out. Cause that would be unfortunate if 2 years down the road, I'm like, oh, see you later, guys. Know what I'm talking about?
This close.
Corey, you do all this reporting. Grant. So yeah, I did just add a small percentage in, which I just think makes sense to
Yep.
do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions, folks?
no, I just have a acknowledgement, thank you, Leah,
Oh,
fantastic job, I just loved your report, the whole thing. I wish 10 more people were here, I could, I'm gonna spread the
so
word.
I could confuse those 10 people.
No, just to spread the word. You are doing a fantastic job.
Thoroughly confused as well.
It's your, commitment to this and your time you spent.
Yeah.
Very much appreciated.
Well, Connor, I was looking at this little flow chart here.
Mhm.
Pam also has 90,000 for immunization.
I
Room.
remember, yeah.
I even forgot about that, but that would do.
That I
that.
hope to use soon or commit soon,
Yeah.
by the end of this week.
Really, or by
Another
July.
public year.
Oh, we'll know stuff
June-
by then. We'll know a lot of
June 30th.
stuff by May, whether this is the go or. Okay.
Okay, anything else, gentlemen? No?
More kind of an update.
All right,
Nothing to decide today.
I think,
Does anyone want one of these to take with them?
I'm gonna, sorry, and here's your agenda, I kind of threw it at you, but didn't really mean to.
all right, I guess we'll be adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a good afternoon. Thank you, Connor.
I apologize if I raised my voice.
Oh, no, that's
But happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir. Great to see you. Excited to have you on. Leah? Thanks for coming.